Welcome back to Cabin View Firewood. So today is the big cleanup day. Now a couple days ago I got the front of this building removed. Now I need to get everything inside out of there. Now I'm not going to get this building down today, but I just want to get everything cleaned up, get this site prepped, so when I do take this down, I don't make more of a mess than I really need to. So I just got all the logs inside split up. I'll throw them into totes. I need to find a new home for the wolf ridge. And then my original plan was to take this thing down piece by piece, but that's going to take entirely too long. So I think I want to do, get the metal roofing off of there, get all the corner supports out, some of the cross braces, and then this thing should be pretty easy to just push right over. Now, yeah, it's going to make a pretty big mess. I'm not going to be able to salvage all of it by doing it this way, but it's going to be a lot easier to take this thing apart on the ground than doing it in the air and trying to lower everything piece by piece. So I think this is going to work out okay. Let's get to it. Welcome back to day 2 of this demolition project. Let me give you guys a little update on where I'm at. So again, I am taking this building down. I already got the front porch off of here, the front roof section off of here. Now I am cleaning out this building. So everything's pretty much out of here. I got the wolf ridge down to the carport. I got all the lights off. I got all the little junk I had laying underneath that these things just collect over time. So now I am to the point where I want to get all the metal roofing off. So metal roofing is going to come off. I'm going to start knocking all the supports off, and then we're just going to push this building over with the excavator. I was going to take this down one rafter at a time, but I don't want to invest all the time into doing that, especially working by myself. I just want to get this building on the ground, get it cleared out of here so I can start digging into this hillside and making more room, because that's what this whole project is about. I need to make a lot more space up here for firewood baskets. So my ultimate goal is to get this whole hillside lined up with baskets. I got a bunch of empties down at the edge there, and then I'm starting to stack them all the way up through here, up towards the house. But I'm gonna need this space in here to be able to drive through. And it's not that wide, so probably a little deceiving on camera, but all the areas I work in are pretty narrow, so optimizing this space is really important for me. And actually leads me to something else I want to talk about quick. The Wolf Ridge log splitter. So I didn't film getting that out of here. It took me about 2 hours to get that thing moved around by myself. And it's one of the issues I have with this 35 high output. I absolutely love this log splitter. The quality of it is amazing. It's fun to operate, but it's too big for my setup. And I didn't realize that. It's not even something I took into consideration when I was shopping for one of these. So I originally wanted a 28C. And when I went to the dealership to look at one, they didn't have any. They didn't have any coming in. They were actually really hard to get at that time. This was a little over a year ago. So they had a couple 35 high outputs in stock. I really liked that the HO models came on this heavy duty frame, and you have a nice heavy duty suspension that you can tow these down the highway with instead of having to load them onto a trailer like the smaller models. So these actually have a hung suspension, and you can travel down the highway up to 80 miles per hour. So really nice if you have a lot of space and you want to be able to tow this thing to different sites. The downside for me is you can only tow it from one end. So this is the only end that the hitch can go onto, where the smaller models you can hook up from either end. So it limits how maneuverable this thing is around your log yard. Plus it weighs a lot more, so it's pretty difficult to move this by yourself. You can do it, but it takes some time, which I struggled with the other night. The other thing is you can only really operate from one side. Now if I put this log lift down, you know, I can stand in here and I could load logs, but now I don't have access to my log lift because of how the frame is set up on these. You know, you can't stand out here, you're reaching way in. It's just not something that would be comfortable to operate. Where I believe on the smaller models, I haven't tried them out yet, but I think you can operate them from either side. So I think I'm going to sell this and go buy a 28C. I'm sticking with Wolf Ridge. I love their products. I love their customer service. You know, I've talked to Bob a bunch of times, Ben, Chris. They're all really great guys. They're happy to answer any questions you have. They respond to you right away. So they're just a really good company. And I also love that this stuff is, you know, made here in America. So another big selling point, right? So anyway, I love the splitter, but it's just too big for my setup. And my setup is very unique. You know, I just don't have a whole lot of space where I work on firewood. So that's why I've tried to move my log storage down here so I can do some cutting and splitting down here. And then that whole top side of this hill where I was working previously, I just want to use for storage space for the firewood baskets. As you may know, where I store all my split firewood now, that area has turned into a swamp. Gets a lot of sun, but it doesn't dry out. The ground doesn't dry out fast enough, so it's just always a swampy mess, especially this time of year. So that's the plan right now. All right, let's get back to work on this roof teardown. All right, guys, it is raining again, but I got to get this job done. So I have all the supports off that I want off. I think this should knock down pretty easy, but let's find out. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me okay, and the microphone reaches this far. But it was a little too fogged up and rain covered, the windows, you know, rain covered, to be able to see out of here good with the camera. So tried to get you guys set up in a good spot, and let's see if we can't push this thing over. This thing's put together pretty nice. The whole thing wants to lift up together. Trusses. That in 3 sections, so it just finally broke at one of those sections there. I'm still still going to be able to salvage a lot of these trusses. I might be able to shorten these up a little bit, use them for a roof extension on the other shed. Got in a nice little pile here. Those hurricane ties really held nice. I destroyed all them. Alright, I think that's pretty good. I don't want to cause any more damage because big equipment like this can cause a lot of damage in a hurry. Well, let the cleanup efforts begin. I think that went pretty well. I don't know if you can see, kind of get a better visual of what this area is going to look like with that shed out of here. So I'll get all that debris cleaned up, and then we're going to start cutting into this bank. And we're going to cut that back and all the way back to about here. So it's going to go back about 6-8 feet roughly, but it's really going to open up this space here. I'll be able to drive through easier with the equipment, haul logs in and out of here, and store a whole lot more firewood baskets. So, all right guys, I think we're going to wrap things up for today. Actually got a little break in the rain, so I'm going to start to organize this pile, pull all the good trusses that are still together, and then pile everything else up probably onto a skid and move that with the tractor. But thank you for joining me. I appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you on the next one.